Well, Gary bounced off our bye with a 64-point win over Coburg in round 9. Fair to say it took a while to shake off the cobwebs, if you like, but a good response by the boys in the second half after one of your famous paint peelers, as you like to dub them, and ultimately another very important 4 points in the bank.
Yeah, you're right, Sammy. Look, it was probably a bit of everything, really. I think it was a side that hadn't played for quite some time. Our routine's been, somewhat different, obviously. The personnel that we brought in hadn't played a lot of senior footy in young Wenny and, of course, Golby and Dill Van Oonen as well. And I thought a lot of the early stuff was the pressure that Coburg applied, but also to our sharpness wasn't quite there. But I couldn't have asked them to persist and persevere any harder, and obviously what you'd like to think is that eventually we're able to apply enough pressure on Coburg, and with about maybe, 10 minutes into the last, we're about 4 goals in front, and then we really kicked away. So to come away with almost a 70-point win at Piranha Park and against, I think, a pretty competitive Coburg outfit, there's a pretty good effort all round. So, I walk away feeling that we did a pretty good job in the end.
From an individual point of view, it must have been pleasing for you to see a couple of newcomers to the side from recent weeks among our better players, such as Oakley Charger Louis Cunningham, Dylan Van Oonen, as you said, and Isaac Conway, who we must mention overcame some pretty significant personal tragedy to play an absolutely inspirational game under his circumstances.
Yeah, it would have been tough for all the reasons that we know, and it's a credit to Izzy and his family, and it was great to see his dad and sister there after the game too as well. And yeah, we really obviously know what Izzy's had to go through individually, so for him to come out and achieve his first win in the Borough colours was really, really nice. And obviously young Louis Cunningham, I thought his last quarter against Box Hill was really, really good, and for him then to go forward and kick 3 goals, and he was really a live wire, I thought, up there, so that was pleasing. Just on the goal kicking, we had, I think, something like 10 goal kickers as well. Dill Van Oonen has been waiting in the wings, and we think our defence has been pretty stable and solid right throughout the course of this year. But just goes to show that poor old Huey Sanderlands went to a wedding on Saturday, and Dill Van Oonen came in and played pretty well, especially in that first half, I thought. But when we're looking at what we try to do, it's all about team contribution, and I thought that was quite significant on the weekend. And even though I thought Toby Pimmel was probably our best, it was good to see Izzy, as you mentioned. I thought that Sammy Dwyer was pretty solid. Damien Masidi, Brodie Murdoch down in the defensive area, Myercheck as well. So if we can keep winning more than what the opposition can do from a positional point of view, then we'll apply enough pressure and get what we want, and that's a win.
Earlier in the day, it was disappointing to see the Development League let slip a pretty strong opportunity to go down by a single point to Coburg, but still a couple of good performances there, and I suppose it's a continued discussion amongst you and the coaches to keep trying to find that perfect team balance in the second half of the year.
Yeah, look, it's always important, mate. Obviously, the last couple of weeks, things have changed a little bit with Shane and Nathan obviously leaving the club, and Aaron Wilson as well for, whatever reason. He hasn't spoken to me anyway. I think he said to Anthony Piccolo that, it just wasn't working out for him. Well, that's in his mind anyway. And certainly from our personnel in the development, I think it was important that we give guys like young Yaron Jaffa Williams an opportunity, and I thought he played quite well. Certainly there's other guys that will now get an opportunity because of some of the players that have retired or left the club. And it was probably really at the end, I think some of our more experienced players who just didn't play the moments well in that last little bit against Coburg still should have won the game, but hopefully there's going to be a pretty valuable lesson learnt there. And no doubt Dale Horton, I thought, had a really good game. Tommy Gordon, young Kyle Dove's been pretty solid down back as well. So there's some good signs there, and we just want to keep developing these players because in this caper you just don't know when you're going to get a chance, and when you do, you want to grab it.
And back at home we go for the next 2 weeks, starting with Collingwood this Saturday, who, as we know, always provide a strong opposition, and I can only assume the focus will be continuing to try and instill that consistency of a 4-quarter effort from our boys for most of the game.
Yeah, it will be, mate, but also too, just now that we can get back into a routine. We've got 11 weeks now, and certainly against Collingwood, they've had our measure the last couple of years anyway, so it'll be important for us to get back at home. We want to see all our supporters because it has been a disruptive month. We obviously have kicked this next 10 or 11 weeks off with a pretty positive win, and we certainly want to continue, but each week the competition just gets harder and harder, and we've got to maintain that, again, small steps going forward, and we want to keep applying the pressure to the opposition and keep backing our game.
Well, Gary, thanks for your time as always, and enjoy another big build-up to the Pies this week.
Thanks, Sam.